Happy New Year, folks. We are
Yeah,
back here with a brand new season, new pendant, new paintings, new shirts, new beards.
that's
We are
right.
we are back for season
And,
2 of Quantum
and
Alchemy
new illnesses,
Experience.
new sicknesses.
Yeah, Alex is sick as fuck from weird ghost fog. Um, we are back for 2025, our first edition of Quantum Alchemist for the new year. I am your host, Mr. Alchemistic, but you can call me B. And I'm joined by my very sick co-host from some phantom illness,
I lost my voice,
Mr. Quantum,
uh,
Alex Romero Vingian.
but I'm out. Oh, there it is.
I think you're good.
Okay, yeah. Still probably a little choppy. I'm Alex. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm sorry if I cut you off. It didn't let me know. It's a little choppy here. The internet here sucks. Ever since we lost power a couple times. I'm kind of being sandwiched in between all the fires that are happening between the Palisades, between Altadena, between Silmar and the Glen Oaks Pass. So really interesting times here in Los Angeles. It looks very, very apocalyptic. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna ask and request B in his gracious editing to add in maybe a good, I don't know, maybe a minute or two of just some highlights of the things that are going on in California in case those of you who do not know wherever you're tuning in, it is a nightmare. It is a war zone out there. I mean, I hate using these words because they're very cliche, but it looks very apocalyptic out there. And the conditions are very real. We got some warnings earlier to evacuate. Later, it was pushed out to being false alarm, I guess. I don't know. We're just kind of going with the groove here. No one really knows what the hell's going on. Clearly, leadership has zero fucking idea where they're standing half the time. We've got our mayor that was out of the country, while we're burning down. I mean, what a concept. Maybe they should stand a fucking post. I don't fucking know. Forgive me if I sound like I'm upset here, but just there's a lot of really dumb things going on around me that could have been avoided that just did not need to happen. And a lot of people are suffering for absolutely zero reason. And it's very sad. Very, very sad.
Los Angeles is burning, much like the Bad Religion song prophesied. It is a very trying time in my home city of Los Angeles. I'm here in the freezing, frigid Georgia temperatures, looking at this on the news and just being flabbergasted for better, lack of better terms. It's really sad. A lot of people losing their legacies, losing their livelihoods, and really no accountability on in the leadership for the shortcomings of what they've done to our city over the years in as far as defunding the firefighters, defunding the fire prevention, um, not
Clearing.
not putting money into infrastructure to fix the piping. The Palisades ran out of water. It's just down the line. Kind of a wake up call for all Angelinos that your leadership is corrupt and has been funneling your money into their own pockets through ghost programs and stuff like the Bullet Train to Nowhere, where billions of dollars just went missing. And
Well, they did get 1,600 feet of track done. I'll give them that much. It only cost
yeah,
billions of dollars.
$5 billion
Billions.
for 16 feet of track. So you
Fucking
guys,
stupid.
we've been talking about this ad nauseum about our leadership and how corrupt it is, and through the whole election season. And it's very much in your face that the people that you've elected and entrusted with your money have gone awry, and you're seeing the ramifications of that right now. Not to put blame on you or to shame you for electing terrible leaders, but I think this is a wake up call for Angelinos that the leadership that we have entrusted, it has done us wrong, has not held
It
up their end
failed
of the bargain.
miserably.
and they need to be held accountable. And I look on in horror from a distance at what's happening to my beloved city that I've called my home my entire life. And we've had fires like this in the past, but never at this scale or level, and
You know, you know
this
what
many
the
at the same time.
real situation here is that the part of the LA that burned is a part that hasn't burned in almost 40 years, right? So like there's plenty of vegetation there for it to go up. And not only that, but this is like old money, right? So you're talking about, I mean, it's not just the values of the assets there. I mean, we haven't even factored in what was in these places. Like some of these places had priceless artifacts that are no longer with us. Like
Mm.
history gone. Like things that like you'll like I'm sure there's plenty of collections that are just have just ceased to exist in the last couple of days. And we don't even know yet like what exactly has gone missing. We know that when I had a buddy of mine, Miles, by the way, who you know, the last I heard of him, he was at Gladstone's putting out fires. I mean, and his phone is now off. I can't get a hold of him. He's an elderly gentleman. He's not necessarily a spring chicken, and he was at ground zero of the evac zone the last time I heard from him, or was informed about his whereabouts. And the last thing I was told was that people were being instructed by the police to abandon their vehicles and to run if they want to live. That was the exact words. If you want to live, leave your cars and go. And that's what they were told. And then shortly after that, they came through with bulldozers and plowed through and moved all the cars out the way. This is fucking wild, dude. Wild. Never heard of this shit in my life.
And it's going back to the leadership, a testament of what happens when you have incompetent people in charge that aren't ready for catastrophes. And, obviously unforeseen things happen, and, a lot of people are going to try to deflect the blame off of these people. But
I mean, how do you explain? I think it was on Monday or Tuesday that the mayor jumps on a plane to go to Africa. Okay. I believe this is just the start of the problem. Like it hadn't even peaked yet, and she just took off. I,
well,
I
I
don't
saw
know.
I saw an interview with her on social media, which is probably why
That's
she left.
impossible.
There is a
That's
there is
impossible. She was non-responsive. She didn't say anything.
Yeah, there was a reporter that was really taking her to task. Mayor, how do you account for you cutting the funding on the firefighters and this and that, and really taking her to task? And all she could do is stand there like a deer in headlights. Like she had no response because how can you respond when you've taken money from the resources that are needed? And we have these fires fairly frequently. It's called fire season for a reason. I know this is kind of out of fire season because we're in the winter time, and fire season is usually at the
Right.
around fall. But
This is totally unprecedented.
nevertheless,
Totally
nevertheless,
unprecedented. Yeah,
it's
we should have had at least 3 to 4 inches of rain by now, which we didn't. And again, we're in drought season, so it doesn't make any it doesn't not make sense that we didn't have any rain.
yeah, and I haven't seen any kind of we were talking about this in the pre-talk, any kind of prognostication of conspiracy stuff, right? Because anytime recently in recent years, like Paradise Fire stands out to me. There was a lot of conspiracy theories that there's some kind of energy weapon or microwaves, or it was a
Laser.
very weird, very strange situation. Laser in Paradise where this whole city just went up in flames, and then there were some places where the houses were just completely leveled by fire, but then there's still trees standing, and it's like, how do you? What is that? That doesn't make any sense. It seemed like directed energy weapons was the culprit by in the conspiracy community. I haven't seen anything about that for these
Right.
fires yet, but then again, I'm kind of out of the loop on conspiracy
Yeah.
stuff. I'm not really in those
The
little
only
rabbit
thing
holes.
the only thing that I could add for this one is that up until now, no one seems to know the origin of the fires. I briefly heard, which maybe someone can comment, down below, that there was someone that was driving an exotic vehicle that happened to have crashed, and the fire started somewhere near PCH, and then it just spread from there. I could be wrong. But
Well, you guys had the Santa Ana winds, right? Like I saw something that there's like really like heavy winds and like really abnormally high Santa Ana winds that were fueling the fires.
so right around the start of the fire, yeah, we were getting wind gusts upwards of between 60 and 80 miles an hour consistently for hours. And so like that most certainly did not help the fire. Air fuels fire. And you add an extremely dry landscape with, plush shrubbery all over the place, and you just have a recipe for disaster. You
It's
know,
been like kind of warm there, right? Like my brother was telling me it was like 70 degrees the other day.
um, I wouldn't necessarily so much as warm as it has been dry.
Mm.
It's been very dry. And so even with it being cool, it's being kind of cool dry, but like not much moisture, not much humidity, and that that definitely did not assist in the fires not spreading any faster. Because I mean, honestly, like what was happening was, you've got the fires that are going up, and so, a slight gust, will tear apart, let's just say a shrub, and now you've got, these airborne embers that are now they're being, carried, feet down the road, or even in some cases multiples of feet, and now you've got a whole new fire spreading in a whole new part of, the area, and this is happening like at an extremely rampant rate, like super super fast, and um it's like the life carries a life of its own, and it just spreads. um but now luckily the winds have subsided, so it's not, the fire's not being carried, to places where it could burn, and catch easily. But yeah, it was really scary because like I'm right behind a mountain also. So I'm separated by a freeway, and if it were to have gone up that backside of that mountain and the wind carries it over, like, we're donezo. Like we're we're off the map. So it was really interesting. It was extremely dark. You could walk outside, and it was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I took pictures, and I will send you some pictures. I had some pictures, and it looked like it was 7 o'clock in the evening, and it was 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the bright, like a peak of daylight, and you couldn't see through the clouds from how dark it was. It was very, very wild, very, very creepy, eerie, I should say.
Yeah, I still got a lot of friends. My brother's still there in LA, and my heart goes out to you guys. It's horrifying to see what's happening to my home city. It's national, world news at this point. This is a historic fire, and I hope that people can get out of it. Like a lot of people say, oh, it's in like the Palisades. These are rich people, and fortunately for them, they have the resources to rebuild and they're not going to be completely out on the street. But still, like this is their whole lives are gone.
Bro, there
Every
there was a trailer park that was right there off the Pacific Coast Highway that's gone. Those people weren't necessarily wealthy,
Yeah.
because, you know,
Well, one of the things that's kind of set this thing apart is all the structure fires. Like, we have our fire seasons, and mostly it just burns a lot of brush, and maybe if some communities are affected or like in danger, but like, bro, I was seeing pictures of like Sunset Boulevard and PCH, like those homes on Malibu coast, just completely gone. And I've driven
gone.
down that PCH countless times, and I know those houses, and they're just gone, and it's just wild. It's wild. And like the city part is burning. It usually doesn't get to that point where this actual city, like Starbucks, is
The
burning down,
plaza,
and
yeah, plaza's getting burnt up.
yeah,
Bro, I'm telling you,
it's tragic.
I'm telling you, you remember Gladstones, bro, right there on the water. Fucking Gladstones was on fire. I believe if it's still standing, I believe Miles is responsible for that one because he was there putting out fires at Gladstones.
Yeah, the,
Which,
the one thing that happens in these tragic situations, you see the real humanity. People band together, and you see real heroism from common people that are just they're doing their part. And that's one of the beautiful things about humanity is we do band together in times of need. And this can kind of segue into the spiritual stuff. Like uh, a lot of you, if you guys are going through this loss, just I know coming from me, it's probably not going to do a whole lot of good, but just know that like in times of loss, that's when you have the opportunity to bounce back, right? It's the silver lining in it is like losing everything is a sign in your life that of rebirth, of growth, of the challenges that face us in life are meant to forge us into better people and forge us into stronger versions of ourselves. And it's hard in the moment when you're facing these things to take the silver lining, but just know that you're not faced with anything in your life that you can't overcome. The creator doesn't do that. We don't have a cruel and heartless creator. Everything happens for divine purpose. And people who aren't spiritual will kind of shit on that message and say, "Well, God doesn't care." But it's like, no, there's purpose behind it. There is an opportunity in tragedy, in loss, to regroup and regrow and rebirth. And
Yeah.
I'm in a situation in my life where I've lost pretty much everything. Like I'm in Georgia, I don't really have a lot of friends left. A lot of friends have just kind of abandoned me. I don't really have a place to live other than, obviously my mom's given me a place to live. And so I'm in a situation of coming out of a loss. And, what I've tried to do is find this inner strength to pull me out of it, to pull me through where there's times when obviously I have people like Alex, who's one of my brothers now. And I love you, brother. Thank you for being there for me. But like, I'm just talking from a state of being in a similar situation where I lost the place I was living because my roommate was not a great person and tried to destroy my life for no reason. I had to put all my stuff in storage and leave my home, leave my city, and come here and regroup in my life at a time where I was starting to thrive again in LA and starting to put things forward and things in motion. And I had a big stoppage and I had to come out here and regroup. And, I'm at a stage now, a few months later, where I'm in a very, very good place mentally, spiritually, personally. And it's been a great stage of growth for me. I'm making wild, incredible art.
Yeah, so one of the things that I want to say to that, bro, is, I want to open up the floor to the stuff that I told you about what that I wanted to do with the plank and the quantum intuitive healing stuff, and I want people to be able to connect with you, and if they want to be able to, like, and again, this is entirely up to you, but like I've changed the outlook of the website and the company that I had recently launched. Okay, so I was going to do a marketing service, and I realized, you know what? The world's full of marketers. Everyone's a marketing guru. Everyone's trying to connect people with people. I'm like, and the world needs a lot more people like you and I to connect with people like you and I that have been through some stuff, that are constantly going through stuff, and yet still have it in us to find kindness and find forgiveness in our hearts for people who cross us and
Mm-hmm.
for people who do us dirty. And so, um, I want to invite people, to the website to check it out. It is plank.fyi, Planck, like Max Planck. Okay, and it is the idea is that the shortest distance between you and your goal is us. Okay, so whatever that desired goal is, whatever that a desired manifestation, whatever it is that you want to strive for, that you feel like you're experiencing some blockages, um that you're dealing with an extreme amount of opposition, or just everything is working against you to not succeed, and we don't want you to give up. We don't. Sometimes it just takes some talking to people. It takes to tune in with somebody that's been there, that's been in the trenches, just like you. And like we have to every single day. Like if you look behind my man right here, you see all these paintings. Like it does not come easy to do all that stuff when you're under all these different pressures, because one of the things that the enemy does not want you to do is to create. So every time he creates a piece, he is actually fighting the very thing that's trying to keep him down, because whatever's trying to keep him down does not want him to create any of that stuff.
You're gonna make me emotional, bro. Like I have been healing from deep emotional wounds, like deep betrayals by people that were the closest to me, by people that I loved, by a lot, and myself in a lot of ways. I betrayed myself in a lot. Much of my struggles in life have been about self-betrayal, and I'm really in a really good place right now, dude. Like I've gone through a powerful transformation, and this kind of gives me an opportunity to go through the symbolism of this painting. If you want to give me the floor for a minute,
Yeah,
so
go
I
for
can
it.
kind of give you guys an idea of what I'm going through and what I've been through, and kind of like illustrate to you guys the type of spiritual advice I can give you. And this painting's fucking powerful, dude. To give you guys a little insight into how my process works. A lot of my paintings are completely intuitive. Like I'll have an idea and I'll just sit down, start making it, and then I'll just flow with divine energy into the piece, and things will be fluid, right? Like I'll have an idea, but then like I get little spurs of inspiration. Oh, what if you do it this way, or what if you do it that way? For instance, before I get into this big one that I just made here, Plato's Ghost, right? I wanted to make a Metatron's cube, right? And I wanted to incorporate the five Platonic solids. And the one in the middle is a dodecahedron, right? And it turned into this holograph. If you guys see, like it changes when you change the light, and you see that little white figure in the background popping out. It's a holograph, right? And I didn't intend that. It just kind of intuitively came about because I followed like inspiration from source, and so it came out in this incredibly piece. And I was at a point with that piece where it was really sloppy, and I wanted to throw it away. And I was like, "Nah, this sucks. I'm gonna throw it away." And then I just got this little spur of inspiration. No, keep going, do this, do that, and it came out like really awesome. So
Nice,
anyway,
really good.
with this piece right here, I call it "Thy Kingdom Come." Um, 20 by 20, which is the biggest piece I've ever done. And I was like trying to figure out what I was going to do with it because I was just kind of out of ideas in a lot of ways. And I was sitting in bed after a meditation. I just got a fucking lightning bolt of inspiration of all this different stuff I could put in it. And so I wrote it down on my phone, typed it into my phone on my notes, and then I just started making it. And one of the parts I wanted to talk about for the spiritual journey is right here at the bottom. So last episode, if you guys want to check it out, we went through the Heyoka. It was the Heyoka empath,
Yeah.
right? The different characteristics of the Heyoka empath, and then I detailed the 7 stages of the alchemical journey as the journey of the alchemist. So if you guys are on spiritual journey, a lot of the symbology and the different stuff, whatever tradition you're following, they're all kind of correlate, right? So the spiritual awakening and in alchemy, it starts with this phase here, which is you see the black background behind the figure is black, and it's called Negrito, right? This is the dark night of the soul, right? This is the beginning of the spiritual awakening. You go through this ego death, and you have this transformation, this Kundalini awakening, and this is the first stage. And a lot of people get stuck in this stage because you have this awakening, and it's like the piercing of the veil, right? The veil of your consciousness becomes pierced, and you see through the illusions, and then you think you've come to this new stage, which you have. But a lot of people get stuck in Negrito because they think they're there already. They think they've got it. They think they have it, right? But you see, like the pomp and circumstance of the character here, right? He's an emperor, he's a pharaoh, He thinks he's on another plane of existence. He thinks he's above people still. He's still caught in ego in a lot of ways. Even though he's had an ego death, he's still in the blackness of Negrito, right? It's the beginning. It's only the beginning, but a lot of people get stuck in this stage here because they had this new spiritual awakening. They have these new insights into life. They see through the veil and they think they've got there. But what happens is this is where spiritual arrogance, spiritual narcissism, and spiritual psychosis can take over because you have the awakening and the light hits you, the fucking third eye opens, and you see things in a new way. And then all of a sudden, your ego comes in and takes it back, right? And takes you back into the shadow. So a lot of people get stuck in Negrito here. And I know a lot of people that I consume a lot of spiritual content. And I feel like I can speak on this from my own experience because I was there, right? If you go back 2 years on my social media in the beginning of February or the middle of February 2023, right? I had this experience, right? Where I had this life changing spiritual awakening. It was catalyzed by this heartbreaking time in my life where I lost a friendship with somebody that I truly loved. And it broke me and I had this spiritual awakening, and I made these videos. It's called The Awakening, the 7 video series where I'm channeling my higher self and I'm talking about spiritual awakenings and I'm kind of taking people through the process. And it was my higher self speaking through me, but my ego side, my shadow side, took that as I had already ascended. I had already gotten to where I needed to go, and now I was an authority on the matter because I had gone through this awakening. But I was really only just beginning, and the only reason I was so knowledgeable in these videos because I would go back and watch it and be like, wow, I've really gone through something transformational. And now I can speak on this. But I was really still in a state of ego of Negrito. I was this guy. I was this emperor guy who thought he knew better, right? And thought he had already been through the fucking fire. But little did I know that God had a whole lot of stuff I still needed to learn, right? But a
We're
lot of
always,
people,
yeah.
and I talked about those Manly P. Hall quotes I shared last season in a couple of different episodes, talking about the Black Lodge, right, and talking about the purification of soul and approaching spiritual awakenings and the occult in the proper context, right. A lot of people will have this awakening to spirituality, to the occult, to the hidden knowledge, and they will stay here. And these are the candidates for the Black Lodge that I talked about, right. A lot of people I know um the person that catalyzed my spiritual awakening is still stuck in this stage because they think that they're on a level, but they've never ascended past Negrito. Um, and it's spiritual arrogance, it's spiritual narcissism. They think that they're better. They think that they're better than people. They think that they know, right? So from Negrito, if you take the proper steps and humble yourself before God, which this is the throne of God right here. Thy kingdom come. This is the throne. This is the spiritual body right here. This is all these symbolism. That's all this stuff. The 4 elements with the third eye. If you go to my Instagram, you can see it better. This is a crappy video, but there's a gold light that comes from the third eye and pierces up through the spirit up to the higher consciousness, right? And we got the 2 pillars of Solomon's temple. We got the angels guarding the throne, right? The Orphanum from Ezekiel. But this right here is the cycle, right? This is the alchemist journey. So we start in Agrito. You go through your spiritual awakening, your dark night of the soul, and you think you're done. But then God's like, no, this is just the first step. And this is the first step of, if you go back to the 7 steps, this is the first couple of steps right here is Negrito. And then you realize at some point, I'm not there yet. This is why a lot of people are manifesting. They're like, why my manifestation is not here yet? It's because you're still stuck in Negrito. You haven't gotten out of your ego. You still have shadow elements to work on. You got to do shadow work. You got to heal yourself. You got to go through all your patterns and your old shit, or you won't
Ego
break
death.
out of this. You're going to be stuck in Negrito. So the next stage is the white stage, Albedo. Um, this is, you see the black starting to dissolve around the head, right? Hold on 1 second. I got the 10-minute notice. I got to wrap this up. So the ego is dissolving, right? And so is the self. The self and the ego are dissolving. the breaking down of forms, right? Right here, you've had your spiritual awakening, but you're still in these complex forms of self. You still have this sense of self, this ego. Right here, the ego is starting to break down. You see it breaking down into different pieces, right?
Right.
The
Into
white
almost like
stage.
pixels.
Yes, and this is and you could also characterize this as the masculine, feminine, and the divine child, right? The three different stages, the masculine, feminine. There needs to
You
be
mean
integration, right? There needs to
the,
be an
the
integration of the shadow. And this is what's happening here. This shadow is beginning to integrate, right? The masculine and feminine are coming together, the alchemical wedding of the alchemists, right? And a lot of people, even more people, get stuck here. And that's fine, man. If your path is only to stop at albedo and be an integrated alchemist, that's some people aren't ready for the rubido path, which is the red path. You have to. There's a
is
lot of.
this the Trinity? Is this the Trinity?
Yes, that's one of the symbolisms of it, right? So Father, Son, Holy
Holy
Spirit,
Spirit.
or masculine, feminine, child, right? um so this, a lot of healers, tarot readers, a lot of people are here, just right here, and that's all they're ever supposed to get to, right? Not everybody's going to reach that ultimate, the philosopher's stone. Not everybody's going to reach that stage of enlightenment in this lifetime, right? It's not the divine path is different for everybody. Some people are never supposed to get out of Negrito. That's just where the place that God is placing them, right? And it's just the lessons they had to learn, and they're just stuck there, and that's fine too. But this is like, if you guys really want to get into the occult and like an understanding, walking the white path. The Black Lodge captures a lot of people where they get caught up in black magic and doing things for money and materialism. That's ego. Everything that the Black Lodge offers you is ego based. That's why you're here. You're stuck here in forms, right? So here the forms are breaking down. The integration process has begun. You're integrating your spiritual and your material self, and you're coming to a place of ego, right? Where you can integrate the ego. And if you want to be a healer or whatever, this is pretty much, a lot of people are just here where they integrate their alchemical wedding and it just stops there. That's fine. But I was here for a while too, and still thinking I'm done, right? This work is never done. This is the great work. They call it the great work for a reason. The Philosopher's Stone is a lifetime work, right?
That's right.
So from here, like I said, a lot of people, this is all they'll ever reach in this lifetime, and that's fine. As long as you get here, at least you're trying. You're on the spiritual path. You're on the white path. That's divine. You integrate the shadow, and you become, you get the alchemical wedding. It's a good path to be on. It's a noble path to be here. But for the solemn few who are ready to take the final step, you come here to the dissolution, the dissolving of forms, rubido, the red path, right? It's the philosopher's stone. Here, the ego is going to be completely integrated into the form, right? The form has been simplified to the light body. This is coming to oneness with the creator. This is where the creator flows through you seamlessly, and you have no ego left. Like, you have no self desires, like no material desires, nothing. All you do is serve creator. This is rubido. This is the reddening. This is very few people come to this place.
Is that like the equivalent of reaching samadhi?
Yes. Yeah, I would say, well, like ultimate enlightenment, right? You come to one with God, and your path is one with the creator. Like this is like the ultimate attainment. This is the philosopher's stone. This is like turning lead to gold spiritually, right? This is the ultimate alchemist. This is the holy grail. There's all kinds of different symbolism for it. But when you become to this place, that's when you become the vehicle, right? The chariot that rides up, upwards in consciousness, upwards. It's what the basically it's
All
coming.
right, what a good time to cut off.
uh are we done?
Oh,
Oh,
I don't know.
so okay, so
It froze really like, oh,
using the tree of life, right? We have Keter here, which is the crown chakra, the crown. You take the lightning path down, right, down to Malkut here, and then you ascend back up. It's just a different characterization of the same journey, right? Boom. You're going upwards and ascending and becoming. All
A
this
star.
symbolism pretty much represents the same stuff. So anyway, that's a long, long-winded way of explaining the symbolism behind my pieces, but there's deep occult symbolic meaning in these things, and it's really like a reflection in my body, in my experience, in my life. I've been literally living this um this refinement period, this purification, this initiation into the deeper mysteries of life, and really coming to oneness with the creator. Like I have these very profound times when I'm going into creator mode. Well, I will just fucking weep. Like literally, I feel the touch of God and the energy coming into my body, and it will bring me to my knees. I had an experience in the shower where I do this shower ritual of purification, and God likes to give me these little gut punches, right? Of like inspiration and knowledge and wisdom, and like I'll just get popped and it'll bring me to my knees. I'm weeping, literally weeping, like uncontrollably, and like feeling this energy in my solar plexus, right? My solar plexus will knot up with energy and it will just bring me to my knees. And it's just a realization of my journey, of my path, of like the realization of like just it's confirmation or reinforcement of who I am and the path that I've tread. And then I read through a lot of this occult knowledge of people describing this experience. And I know that that's what the reflection of what I've been through, like, because I've been through it. And I understand. And there's like, I can talk about this all day. And there's only so much I can say about the truth and of my experience. And if you haven't experienced it, it'll sound crazy. It'll sound bonkers and wacko and out there. But like, there's only so much I can
Ultimately,
say. The truth must be experienced in the
yeah,
body, in the soul. You have to experience it for yourself. But if you're on this path, that's what we're here for. Is like I've been through it. I can tell you from personal experience what I've experienced. And maybe other people's experiences with spirituality are different, but I can tell you from the texts I've read, from the understandings I've come to, from people who are authorities on the matter, like I relate to it. I've been through it. I understand what they were talking about, and it's the truth can only be experienced in the body. But
yeah,
that's why I said if you guys have lost everything in these fires in LA, or if you're just at a state of loss in your life, it's not the end. You're still here. You're still here for a purpose, and it's just God calling you in a lot of ways. A lot of times, God uses loss to call the soul.
so
And
I want to invite our audience to, if you're in a position and in a place of abundance and you want to help out some of these families, you can go ahead and do so through the website. We're gonna go ahead and I've already got a lot of different people, putting forth some humanitarian efforts in that respect. So, if you'd like to contribute to any capacity, um, my our contact information is on the website, and you can make contributions and sending supplies and stuff like that too. I'll send you the address. Just reach
that'll
out
be
to me
down in
through.
that'll also be down in the description for you guys. We're almost out of time, so we're gonna go on to
Yeah.
a part two. Um, let's regroup. But guys, if you're going through it, just know I'm with you in spirit and in real experience. I've experienced it as well, and you can come back from it. Trust me, and just find the Creator in your heart, and it's calling to you. And I love you, and we'll be back for part two.
We love you. We'll be back. What's up, everybody? I'm Alex, and I just want to know real quick if you're going through a bunch of stuff and you need to connect with somebody. If I open myself up in terms of making myself accessible to communicate with me through a phone or through a Zoom, that you'd want to take advantage of that and you'd want to book a session, you're welcome to do so. I am going to make myself available to uh, people who are trying to overcome obstacles or just need a different perspective on how to handle relationships or certain situations in their life. Um, if you want to go ahead and do that, I'm going to open up the session for $100 for the hour if you want to talk on the phone. And if you want to connect on a Zoom, it'll be $200 for the hour. This way, I could give you my undivided and my focused attention for what you need. And of course, everything we talk about is private. It's between you and I. And really, just if you want someone like a big brother to talk to, that's really all this is about. No judgment, and just if you want a different perspective. I mean, uh, again, this is just a lot of people have been reaching out, and I can't take on like I spend sometimes on the phone like 8 to 10 hours a day on the phone, and I just need to be a little bit more. Uh, I need to be a little bit more mindful of my time, and so I did this because instead of doing marketing service for promoting stuff, like I do have some clients that want me to do some marketing services for them, and I still plan on doing those things, which is one of the services I'm going to offer through Plank as well. But ultimately, like the idea this is a counseling and intuitive guidance type of situation, a one-on-one type thing. If you want me to help you promote your business, do your social media management, if you want me to help you build a brand, stuff like that, we can talk about those things too. Um, and I do have a lot of years and experience in tech. I'm currently working on building some AI agents to help build an entire, automated flow of uh, of information for, utilizing like Telegram or WhatsApp to control an AI operator to like handle stuff for you. But these are things that yes, I can work on these things. These things are in fact not that difficult. What's difficult is finding clients that are serious about getting the business that they putting their business on these systems. So anyhow, if you guys want to learn more about this stuff, we can go down either path. We the idea is that I don't want to necessarily just sit here and talk about like um, money and stuff like that, like how to make people money, because a lot of this stuff, yes, you will make money if you are able to clear out a lot of the negativity in your life, and if you're able to focus um, on how to improve your craft, whatever that is, and how to make yourself the most top notch performance machine in what it is that you do, because that's what's going to make you more money. Coming to me asking me trading strategies and like what I'm investing into, stuff like that. Like, yeah, I could tell you, I could show you a bunch of stuff, and you will make money eventually, but it takes a lot of discipline, and a lot of you guys just don't have that, unfortunately. Um, so on that note, we'll just leave this here. Go to Plank, check it out, planck.fyi. Go to the services tab, book a session, and if you want to make a donation for the fires, go for it. Plenty of families out there that need the stuff. We're setting up a fund for that, and we will be transparent with all the stuff that we do with all those things too. All right, guys. So anyway, love you, and see you soon. Bye.
And we are back with this season two, episode one, brand new year, brand new season, brand new alchemists.
That's
And
right.
we left off talking about my painting here, like Kingdom Come. I was kind of breaking down.
You're covering up your mic, brother. I can't hear what you're saying.
Oh, hold on. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to kind of finish off here with some of the symbolism. Uh, I just want to kind of say, like, I'm not trying to talk from a pedestal, like I'm better than anybody or that I'm more advanced than you people, but I just see a lot of patterns within the spiritual community, and I recognize where everyone's at, right, on this little um, cycle that we're going through here. And specifically when we are talking about the election, I saw a lot of spiritual people really mad that Trump won, and I'm like, you're spiritual people, like you're still stuck in the matrix if you're caring about Donald Trump. Like if you're mad that Donald Trump won, if you're mad about the patriarchy, if you're mad about this and that, like you're still in ego.
Yeah.
That's ego shit. So that's why I'm speaking on this, because I see it
But
from.
but we don't deny that these are triggers though. Like we get it, like and no one is perfect, but these are definitely triggers that we got to work on, and like it's definitely not yeah, I'm sorry. I just that's all I had to say. Like
But
they're
I want to use it as a teachable moment because, like I said, man, it's really easy to get stuck in these stages and think that you're there already. Because I've been there, man. I've been on this journey for a long time now, and it's been years of personal work and healing, and like leveling up little by little and initiation. Okay, I feel I go to get to a step, and there's a plateau after each step before you go up to the next one. We've talked about this before, right? And then you see the next mountain, and then you got to go climb that next mountain. And you're like, fuck, when is this ever going to end? It's never going to end. It's just your life. It's just the spiritual life is a constant evolving, right? Even when you reach this stage, right? There's still, it doesn't mean you're done. If you were done, you'd be dead, or you'd ascend to it in a chariot of fire, like Ezekiel, right? Or Elijah. So, I was talking about the forms, right? Like the masculine, the feminine, and the child, right? The child, become like a child to enter the kingdom, right? You become like a child to enter the kingdom, right? That's what it's called, right? You become the child, you must become like a child to enter the kingdom, right? It's the simplification of forms. You start in this complex form with ego and all your bullshit and all your wounds and all the things, and you see through the matrix, but you're still not quite there yet. You think you've ascended to this new level of understanding, but you've only just begun your journey. And a lot of people are just stuck in Negrito and thinking that they're there, and then they start looking at down on other people, and then they're mad about elections, and it's just you're not there yet. Unfortunately, you haven't done the inner work. You still have work to do. You still have childhood wounds to go through. You still have some submitting. You have to submit yourself to the process. And I'm telling you, each time you level up, it feels like you're dying. That's why you must be born again to enter the kingdom, right? You have to die to your ego, to yourself. That doesn't mean your ego goes away, but it becomes integrated completely into the simplistic form. You must become like a child. Children are already here, right? We become complex in form as we grow older, and then we think we know. That's why Socrates, I believe, or Aristotle said, the wise man knows himself to be a fool, right? The wise man knows that he knows nothing. you
nothing.
know you must become like a
Exactly.
child, the divine child. You must submit completely to the creator, and the creator comes into you and takes over, and it's like, I'm steering the ship now, but then you become one with the creator. And this is why people, when they go through spiritual psychosis, they think that they're God, right? But it's like, no, you're not God. God is you, right? It's that difference in that fine line of understanding of the veil. Like the ego likes to grab onto itself, right? To glorify self. And when you become like the child, there is no self anymore. You're not Brandon anymore, right? You're your
Right.
divine higher self. You are like a child, and then you can enter the kingdom. Um, So anyway, I just wanted to clarify that, guys. I'm not coming from this pedestal. I'm not on a pedestal. I'm you. I am you, and you are me. I'm just speaking. This is Creator speaking through me to illustrate to you the different pratfalls and pitfalls of the ego, of the shadow, the way the shadow likes to capture spiritual people, spiritual awakenings, and glorify itself. It's not to your glory, it's to the glory of God. There's a lot of stuff, and this is a problem I've had with the Christian theology, right? The ideology of it is it takes the concept of Christ and his words and twists them, right, to degrade the individual. Oh, you're just a sinner and you need Christ. No, you need Christ in your heart. You need to become the Christ. You need to walk the path of
Right.
Christ. You need to
You
pick up
need
your cross.
clarity.
Pick up your cross, which is
Right.
here in your consciousness
Right.
between spirit and material. Pick up your cross and walk the
Right.
path of Christ. And that's what this is. This is the symbolism. This is the ancient occult knowledge that has been
Right.
twisted by ideologies, twisted by the Romans to create an ideology of degradation to keep people down, to keep them
Another way,
subjected, to
another
get
way I
them
like to
looking to the cloud, waiting for Christ to come save them when he's in here and he's trying to speak
another
to
another way I'd like to tell people about it is like, Christ is crystal, and crystal means clarity, and all it really means is clarity, crystal clarity. And the only way to have crystal clarity is to have truth, absolute truth. And so, if you really want to peel back the layers of what it really means to just be in Christ consciousness, it just means to be in your truth. You know, it just means to look at things from a right perspective, from the perspective of absolute grounded truth, which means that you're not trying to justify things because it suits your narrative or your agenda in any way. Just it either is or it isn't, and it either serves source or it does not. And if it serves you and solely you for selfish gain, it probably doesn't serve the greater good because a
it's
lot of times,
shadow. It's still ego. Dude, this is a
right,
constant chess game we're playing with our own ego of the shadow. It's the devil, right? That we are the devil and the Christ. That is the duality of man, right? You have to integrate it. You have to integrate the shadow, integrate the ego, and to think you can kill ego is also ego, right? Like these are the pitfalls of spirituality, and so many people are stuck in it and they don't even realize it. Some of these people are like on big platforms speaking to other people and poisoning them with the same ego stuff.
hmm
And it's why platforms like ours are trying to exist so that we can say, like these are the obstacles, these are the stumbling blocks of the Black Lodge of the path of the sorcerer, over the path of the alchemist. So I have another little quote. I like to read these quotes because they're really profound and can kind of say it better than I can in a lot of ways because this is ancient knowledge that these people were touching. This is from The Narrow Way of Attainment by H.E. Butler. This is from 1889.
mm,
Says, you have unfolded and matured. You are among the ripe fruits of the earth, and you are not satisfied with the things of the world as they are. You want to rise into immortality without death. To do this, you have to increase the life power in the body. You must reverse the action of those forces that are now controlling. So you begin at the generative function to stop all waste of generated life. What do you mean? Says one. We mean simply this: both man and woman are affected by the lunar periods. Only women more visibly, man less. Every time the moon comes into the sign which the earth was in when they were born, there is a psychic germ matured in the body. And we've talked about this, the chrism, right?
you did.
We've talked about this. That psychic germ is under the control of the moon and planetary system, which govern the law of generation. And it will be taken from you either by your own voluntary act of generation or involuntary through habit. This is talking about sexual energy. So that every time the moon makes its circuit, this germ life that is generated in the body is either used or wasted. And remember, this germ is pure life, and the retention of it is the only means of increasing power. We have in our own reach the mighty creative energy of worlds. Yes, even in our own body, and we want to utilize it. We want to make this our servant. We have been its servant since the world began. Now we have declared our independence, and we can be ruled by nothing short of the infinite will. We lack strength. We begin at that function and watch as if we are watching an adversary with a determination that nothing shall cause the loss of that vital fluid. For through its retention, we can regenerate ourselves and thereby increase mental and spiritual power. This is
So
about
he's equating basically the the creation of new life to the creation of star systems.
Well, that's we are stars. We're made of star stuff, and our generative function, our sexual energy, is very, very powerful. It creates life, and we've been accustomed in our culture to just and whether that's male or female, right? We're spitting
Everywhere.
out this vital energy, and this is why in the scriptures it talks about purity, sexual purity, right? It's not for don't have sex. It's because we have this process in our bodies, this fluid that secretes from our third eye down our spinal cord every month when the moon is in our sun cycle in our sun sign. It's every month. Look this stuff up, guys. We've talked about this a lot, but this is how you purify it, and so this is how you open the third eye. It is through the chrism, through the kundalini rising. And if you pervert it with sexual activity that is not pure, it's not going to work out for you. And
Yeah.
you know, when I talked about the Black Lodge and I've talked about black magic, sex magic is a way to activate it through basically cheating the system, right? That's what black magic is. It's a hacking of the biosystem. You're hacking the qualifications of purity that God has to allow this knowledge to be unlocked within you. And this is why sex magic is prevalent. The pedophilia. This is all dark sex magic. This is how the people who are in charge, the
Uh-oh. Not those
Illuminati,
people. Not those people.
the dark magicians that run this world, this is how they achieve this power, right? Through cheating. They cheat with black magic. They cheat through blood magic and sex magic, and they open their third
Spirit
eye.
cooking.
You know, you talk about they talk about like adrenochrome, right? Like drinking the adrenochrome from the body through harvesting, through
Yeah.
human sacrifice. This stuff happens.
Which is adrenaline filled
This
blood
is
flow,
dark
I guess.
magic. This is the dark sorcery magic that's that's prohibited by the scriptures. But and Manly P. Hall talks about the Black Lodge and you know the black magic and sorcery and the dark road that takes you on. That's the cheater path. That's the cheater path to this knowledge, to this power, right? But and this is the world is run by these people who are doing this. Black magicians run the world. This is the people that we're coming up against. These are the fucking people, the new world order. They're cheating, you know. And a lot of people will look at my art and be like, "Oh, that's Freemasonry. That's Illuminati. That's evil." It's like, no, that's the fucking knowledge of God. That's the knowledge of you, the God in your body, the activation of it, and the
There's
people
two sides. Just like there's the bad guys, there's the good guys too.
and the knowledge is sacred, and they've taken sacred knowledge and they've perverted it through black magic, and that's how they've achieved the levels of success and affluence that they have. But their reward is only material, right? It is not spiritual. They're not going to attain the next level. But when you walk the white path and you do it with purity, you will become fucking unstoppable. An army of black magicians will not be able to stop you. I'm telling you, you're going to see it. You're going to see it. That the eye shall see the power of white magic. I'm going to show it to you, because that's the path that I'm on and that's where I'm going. But so this is important stuff, guys. If you're into the occult, I'm giving you all the keys to the kingdom because that's my path. That's my purpose. That's who I am. Um, I know one more little quote I want to read here. And this
All
is
right.
I want to show the illustration because it talks about the it's an
Hmm.
angel with a sun and moon head standing and it has this symbol that I have in some of my artwork. It's the triangle, the circle inside the square, and cut inside the triangle, which is the symbol of
The
alchemy.
Square and Compass.
Yeah. So it says this illustration represents rebus, one of the most powerful and significant symbols in alchemy. The term rebus or rebus from the Latin resbina, double thing, embodies the union of opposites. I talked about that. The perfect fusion of masculine and feminine, spirit and matter, sun and moon. That's what these symbols mean. The androgynous figure at the center highlights the key concept of the great work, the transformation and balance of opposing polarities. The double-faced head, one solar and the other lunar, represents transcendent duality, while the crown above symbolizes the triumph of the alchemist who has achieved perfection and enlightenment. The image also features the dragon, a symbol of primordial chaos and the raw matter from which all creation emerges. Standing upon the dragon signifies having tamed and transformed this wild energy into something pure and refined. This is the symbol of Michael, right? Michael and the dragon, right? He's standing over the dragon. That's it represents overcoming the material world, the raw matter of creation, which we are. We are the raw matter of creation. We are the devil and the angel, right? It's both polarities.
Right.
Standing upon the dragon signifies having tamed and transformed this wild energy into something pure and refined. This starry circle in the background represents the cosmos and the connection between the microcosm, man, and the macrocosm, the universe, a foundational principle of Hermetic alchemy. At the bottom, the geometric symbols reflect the importance of mathematics and sacred geometry in the alchemical process. Thus, rebus is the image of perfection, the ultimate goal of every alchemist, a mystical and transcendent union with the one.
So one of the things that kind of reminds me of is like in some degree, and I don't know, for me it triggered, the it triggered a couple things. One is Hermes Trismegistus, right?
Hermes, yeah, Hermes.
Right,
He's the
which
author of the Emerald Tablets.
correct, right. So I believe there's a saying that we always say as above and so below, but we never fully finished that thought out. And I want to finish the whole thing out, which I believe is as above, so below, as within, as without.
The law of
Some
correspondence.
The law of correspondence, something to that degree, and and so that triggers to me. It's like our experience, our external our experience of this reality, right? Our experience in this matrix in this simulation, is only a reflection of what we have going on inside. And so we talked about how we're always in competition with ourselves, and so the real thing that we need to really change is not like I don't need to change Brandon, I don't need to change B, I don't need to change anyone in your family, I don't need to change anyone else around me. I just got to change myself. And the law of correspondence is if we all change ourselves and in alignment with a higher conscious good, then by definition we should achieve the goal of changing each other.
Well, it's, the old, I think it was Gandhi that said, change, if you want to change the world, change yourself, because we are a reflection of the macrocosm. You change the fractal, you change the whole thing. We are a piece of
Right,
the fractal. You change yourself, you change the world.
right.
And, and then if you, as yourself, can reflect that change to others and show them the light, and they start to change themselves, it becomes this mirrored effect where, like, you start, it's just Wayne's World, right? And they tell two friends, and they tell their friends, and so on and so on. And I can only, like I was saying in the first part, I can only speak this so much. The truth must be felt within you. You have to experience this yourself, and this is why I was going into so much depth. Like a lot of people think they've reached that plateau, that place, but like you have to literally physically feel. It feels like death. I'm telling you guys, it feels like you're dying because a part of you is dying. You're a part of your spiritual body is casting off a piece of yourself that has to die, and you have to. That's how you become one with the creator. Is there's a piece of you that has to die, and to open up that space within your heart to
Yeah.
allow that divine light to shine out. And it's not comfortable. It's very, very uncomfortable. And if you've never, and this is why I just scoff at the a lot of these, I talked about going to church with mom a few times, and I'm very cognizant of energies, right? Like my feelings of other people's energy, and so much of what I see in these churches is so performative. These people are putting on a performance, and they'll
Yeah.
they'll swear upside and down that they've been reborn. They've been born again in Christ,
And then
but
and
it's a
my favorite is when tell you bless your heart on the way out to church, and you know what the hell that means.
it's but like it's a performance because they have never gone through what the Bible's really talking about, the death. It is death. You feel death, like you feel like you're dying.
Like, that
I
sounds
know,
excruciating, honey. I would never want to do that.
and it's not I'm not trying to, like I said, I'm not trying to pedestalize myself and speak down to these people, but I can tell you just by feeling their energy that they haven't felt what I felt. They have not gone through this transformation. It is a transformation. It is a freaking caterpillar into a butterfly effect. You can't just throw some water on your head and say you've been born again. That's not how it works. It must be transformed from within. And like a lot of these people will go to church on Sunday and think they're saved and think that they've done the work and think that they've
Well,
taken up their cross and they haven't. And
a
it
lot of
really
those, a lot of those
frustrating for me.
people, a lot of those people, I know how the South is, man. Like they refuse to talk about like the inner conflicts. Like they would rather not talk about something just to save face and not address something.
Well, these are
Like
the
it's like
same
it doesn't
people.
exist.
These are the same people that would call me a heretic for some of the things that I'm doing,
Oh,
and some of the
absolutely.
things that I say, and like these are the people that would probably put me on the cross myself. You know, the Pharisees of our time.
Yeah.
When you're walking the path of Christ, you're going to experience the things that he experienced, right? He came up against the temple, right? The temple leaders, the Pharisees of the time that were speaking to him like he was blaspheming. But he said, "Don't you know that ye are gods?" You know, he was reflecting the passage in Psalms about in David. David wrote in Psalms 82:6 or 82:4. It's in 82 talks about ye are gods, right? And then the Pharisees wanted to stone Christ because he was saying he was the Son of God. But then he quoted that scripture, don't you know ye are gods? And then you really dive into the mystical aspects of Christ and the things he was really trying to say and the way the church has twisted it to get people to stay in their state of degradation and never take up their cross and really have that rebirth and that transformation that he was talking about. You must die. You must die and be born again. And it's not just splashing water on your head. Oh, Jesus, I'm saved. That's not that simple. It is
Yeah.
not that simple. You must transform your life. It's not just a we go on Sunday and then the rest of the week we're getting drunk and having sex with all these different people. And it's no, this is a lifestyle change. If you are not systematically changed in your life and you're not having a regular practice of connecting to God through meditation and connecting through just different energy work and spiritual healing, like you're not
Did
doing it.
you
It's just plain
did
and
you did
simple.
you by any chance happen to watch that video on the UC Davis stuff I sent you with Dr. Hamamoto and Laurent,
I don't think so.
where they talked about like the basically like this was back in like 2016, and there was I guess some like military like operations conducted on campus, and like and I guess there's a chancellor there, and I forget her name, but basically she was attached like to some high level peoples. Ultimately, what it ended up finding out was that the land that UC Davis was on, and a bunch of other universities actually was part of some sort of land grant that belonged to uh that somehow or another tied to Fidel Castro, ironically enough, and uh and that there's some sort of tie between Fidel Castro and Pope Jean Paul III. And I guess that they're like cousins basically.
Hmm.
And so all this ties back to like the Jesuits,
Hmm.
and and then the transhumanist agenda, and
We
then
never
like
did do that Jesuit episode, did we?
yeah,
Maybe we'll have to go into that next time. Uh,
the interesting correlation, because like this whole thing ties back to like the church, and stuff, and like the true teachings of the church versus like the false teachings, and like why and who stands to benefit, and like there's just so much more that goes into it. And then you start thinking about like who's who's running, these big companies, like what are the big companies, like these technocrats, and like who really helped establish those families and those communities, and like it just gets like there's just a lot of like you gotta do a lot of like following the money. You gotta follow the money.
Yeah, it's dude, honestly, what it boils down to, man, is that this knowledge is so powerful that it could change the world. Imagine if we had a, 1,000 people on the beat on the red path that have reached that level. We would change the world because literally you are unstoppable when you get to that point because you're channeling the creator. The creator is channeling his divine energy through you.
You become
Um,
extremely difficult to manipulate when you are tapped into source, and therefore you are not distracted from your path, and you are doing the work that you're here to do, which is basically integrate and anchor in new earth energies and raise a collective vibration.
well, now you have the faith to move mountains, right? And this is another thing is like, a lot of people will poo-poo, a lot of Christians will poo-poo the things I'm talking about and say, oh, that's heretical, that's the devil or whatever. But it's like, Christ walked on water. He changed water for wine. He raised the dead. He healed people. He fed the 5,000 with a couple of fish and some bread. Like he was the master of the elements, right? And a lot of the things you would see that Christ did would you would call magic if somebody like me did it. But then he said, all these things and greater you shall do, right? So what Christian preacher is doing the things that Christ did right now? None of them. Not a single one. You know why? Because they're not on the right path. They are not walking the path of Christ. And they've settled into this state of degradation that the shadow has cast over Christ's message, which is what the church was there for, right? Constantine created the church to subjugate an entire empire. And you can't subjugate an empire with a message of power, which is what this is, right? This is the power of the human spirit alive, right? This is returning to Eden consciousness, to the original state of man, right? This is raising the consciousness, raising the DNA, the two phantom DNA, reactivating it back to the state that we were created in when we
Everyone,
fell. and
everyone's
and
worried about artificial intelligence. This is divine intelligence.
and that this is the period we're in. This is the shift we're in. God's coming back with the original consciousness, and that's what the shadow is going to be defeated. But you were talking about I don't remember what the segue was, but let me segue into this, right? The knowledge of good and evil, right? When the man fell, he ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, right? So why would the knowledge of good and evil be a bad thing? It's because it would.
Manipulation, because you can manipulate people.
No, it was this, like, think about it. In his original state, man had no knowledge of good and evil, right? He was in the child state. He was a child of God, right? Adam was a child of God, right? And then he ate of the fruit of knowledge of good and evil, and it separated him from God, right? Because he became knowledgeable about good and evil. So why is that a bad thing? Why shouldn't he know about evil? It's because that's the birth of the ego, right? That's the birth of the shadow, is the knowledge of the shadow, right? It's where the shadow separates itself and takes over consciousness, right? It's I was showing you Negrito,
That,
where the
that's where
where
man realized that's where man realized he had a choice.
well, it was is where the choice materialized, right? There was no choice before he ate the fruit. The fruit was the choice that separated him, right? Gave him the knowledge of good and evil, right? And in that aspect, right, the return is to integrate it back in, right? To undo that what
Well,
happened
well,
in the garden.
well, there's what's interesting. I'm glad you say this, and there was a period. Did I ever tell you the story about when I was in Vegas? And I don't know if I ever told the story on air. I don't think I ever did, but I was like in Vegas. I was like 3 days no sleep. I was completely lit off my mind, and I'm walking down the Vegas Strip, and like mind you, like the sun's casting shadows, onto the street. As I'm walking, like I hear this voice kind of in my head, and it's telling me the difference between knowing the path and walking the path, right? And it's like, and the shadow, it's like, yes, like you know the path, but walking it and knowing why you're walking it is integrating the path, right? Integrating the shadow, integrating the like you know why you're here, and and you have the ability to choose to learn experiences from walking in either side, the
Hmm.
power of choice, but understanding that when you choose to walk in either path, there are repercussions, right? Because choices and decisions. And so long as you're ready and willing to accept whatever it is that that decision brings, which is when you fully accept to consciously choose to do something, then you're fully choosing to accept it's what comes with it, all of the attachments that comes with it. And that comes with people, that comes with things, that comes with energy. It even comes with, expectations in some cases, right? Because when you choose to accept that favor from somebody, there's an expectation that they're going to give you a buzz one day and you're going to have to give them a favor right back. Quid pro quo, this for that. Just how it is. It's the exchange of energy.
100%. 100%. And we're getting close to the end here. Do you want to do another part, or you just want to call it?
How are you feeling? I'm feeling pretty good.
I'm feel pretty good about it. I think that was a lot of information, a lot of really heavy stuff. Um, but this is the sphere that we are in, right? Is this we're dealing with a lot of heavy information, a lot of information that's been hidden from you, a lot of obscure stuff that has been hidden behind symbols, right? And this is why I think it was I'm not forgetting who said it, but I think it was Manly P. Hall. Manly P. Hall said it. When man learns the language of symbolism, a great veil will fall from the consciousness of man, right? Like we've been like a lot of the symbols that are in my art, the church will tell you that's evil, right? Oh, that's evil. Or people even that think they're awakened, that are in the conspiracy community, will look at like the all-seeing eye and say, "Oh, that's Illuminati, that's evil." Is like,
Yeah,
no, you don't understand the symbolism. There's a language behind this stuff that's trying to teach you something, right?
right.
The tree of life is the Kabbalah, right? Oh, that's evil Jew magic. That's what people think because the meanings of these symbols have been obscured, and this goes back to intention, right?
Yeah,
This is the power of this knowledge is benign. It's how you intentionally use it. Magic is intention, right? If you intend to do it to use for to cause harm to others to the benefit
right.
of you,
Bad,
if you
bad
if you use
idea.
it if you use it to try to accumulate things for the self, for the ego, then that's the black intention. That's the black lodge. That's negrito. Not, I mean, negrito is actually the first stage of purification, but it still can be perverted. Once you reach libido, there's no going back. For me, there's no going back. I will never
Yeah.
be the
It's
same person.
it's
I will
really tough to
never,
go
ever.
backwards. It's
I,
really tough,
I,
like, because you're literally conflicting your own soul at that point, because you know better, and so
it
it becomes
literally would. If I tried to go back, I would die. No, I'm
yeah,
serious. Like I would fucking die because I've gone through such a stage of initiation where like anything that is contrary to the path, it will kill me because I am accepting so much divine energy into my body at this point that it would kill that perverting it would kill me. Like I go through these stages, Alex, almost every day where I'm channeling so much energy that I feel like I'm dying and people might, oh, you need to go to the doctor, but it's like, no, I understand what's happening to me. God is touching me, and that's what happens with the touch of the creator. Is like you need to purify yourself to a certain level to accept
yeah,
that much divine energy. And I wouldn't be surprised if I'm fucking spiking the Schumann resonance at this point because I literally am channeling so much energy, bro. Like I can't even like describe it to you. But like once you reach that level, you cannot go back or it will fucking kill you. That's why
yeah.
it's so important. That's why Manly P. Hall cautioned about this stuff because this level of energy work is dangerous if you aren't pure of heart. God will kill you with his energy, and he doesn't even have to like do it maliciously. It will just fucking
No,
kill you.
yeah, it'll
Um,
just destroy your physical body, and like, yeah, you have to be in alignment with it.
I'm gonna leave us with this. We only got 2 minutes left. I got another really good quote that can kind of sum
No,
up, this about magic, right? This is from Eliphas Levi. Um, True magic is the science of the soul, the art of aligning oneself with the cosmic laws that govern all things. A true magician seeks to be a channel for divine will, to bring harmony between heaven and earth by mastering oneself, one's thoughts, emotions, and desires. One can access a higher power, not to dominate, but to serve and uplift. Magic is not an escape from reality, but a way to reveal its deepest truths. That's Eliphas Levi.
Nice.
You can't be on that path. You can't be on that path and go back. There's no return from where it, but it's, I have a quote in Latin on my Instagram right now. It's at the top of my Instagram page. Um, that'll be the last thing we do. We got less than a minute left. Onus magnum premium maius. It means um, the burden is great, but the reward is greater. Love you guys.
We love you.
See you next time.
Have a good one.